Here we go again. Ring Wraps, Boxing Highs, weekly roundup. It's late Sunday night. It was a late Saturday night in London, coming out of Wembley after Usyk versus Daniel Dubois 2. So, let's get straight into it, man. Great night, as in magnitude of the event. Usyk Dubois rematch in London. First ever undisputed contended fight in UK. It didn't last long, did it, people? It didn't last long. Less than 5 rounds. What can I say? First of all, it just looks like at 227 pounds, what I was seeing there was Usyk came in big, heavy, and he looked like he just came to fight, not box. Alexander Usyk didn't really come to box. Didn't come to do all that like mesmerizing, pouring, the tapping, the range finding. Some people were saying like, oh yeah, he'd already downloaded Daniel's data and he already knew what to expect from Daniel. Some people said it was personal when Daniel would come into the ring after he beat Fury and butted in when he was talking about his late father. Some people said that he wanted to prove a point. All I know is that Alexander Usyk, at the ripe old age of 38, doesn't look like a cruiserweight or heavyweight anymore. He looks like a certified modern heavyweight, even though he's still small and light by today's standards at under 230 pounds. Most of the guys from Joseph Parker, AJ, Joe Joyce, let alone Fury, Andy Ruiz, and, Bacoli, they're all coming from 240 highs to 280s. I think that's too big, personally, in the modern era. I think the sweet spot, Usyk's proved it. The big, cumbersome juggernauts, with exceptions of people that are naturally larger like Fury, who can handle their body weight and are not kind of jacked and bulky with like too much muscle on their frame, which doesn't really go hand in hand with boxing. I think Usyk proved that being lighter on your feet is the way to go. But having said all of that, the thing that was very apparent after round 1, definitely, I haven't watched it back, full disclosure. I was watching it live, also with a monitor. So when you're media at the event, you get a monitor and you watch it live. So you get a double split experience. So you're soaking up the atmosphere, which is almost like the perfect way to see it, because you've got the home experience because you're watching it on a screen, but you're also getting the atmospheric experience and the oohs and the ahs, etc. And Usyk wasn't as quick on his feet. Now, I just want to make something clear. For the performance last night, Alexander, congratulations, amazing. For the career, hats off. Hats off to you. Salute. You're an absolute modern day legend. I dare say shortlist for all-time GOAT status. Definitely a top 10 of all-time heavyweight. Definitely top 10. Probably a top 7. Probably a top 7. There's some historic literal heavyweights in front of you, but you're in good company. Like, you're with the greats of all time. Retrospectively, even though he got the job done against Daniel, I just want to be the devil's advocate for a moment. Did he take too much punishment last night? Meaning that he came to fight and he was happy to be in the kitchen, in the pocket, albeit catching and slipping, as Usyk, does majestically. But he definitely ate some big shots from Daniel. Now, the counter argument or the logic would be, the method to the madness is, he took one to land 2. Or he took one and slipped one to land 3. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to say that Alexander Usyk generally isn't a bigger puncher than, say, a Dubois, an AJ, etc. But what he is a marksman and a perfectionist when it comes to technical prowess. He knows exactly where He wants to hit you. He knows at any given moment, his spatial awareness is off the chart. Now, while I'm not a boxer or boxer trainer, I do have a bit of a OCD tendency to have a kind of hyper analytical eye. And I just thought it was very obvious that Usyk looked bulky. Now, he definitely did that deliberately. This was, I believe, his heaviest championship weight. I may be wrong, but I believe it was. And it was noticeable around the upper torso and the midriff, but he looked stocky. This was a bulky Usyk. I mean, you're talking about someone that was only kind of 15 to 20 pounds off like where Joseph Parker and people used to come in at before they got heavier. And traditionally, Usyk was down at the Muhammad Ali weights, 216, 219. Even against Fury, I think he might be 221 or 22. And we've seen other slight heavyweights like Wilder, who just packed an insane punch, was a tiny guy. When he bulked up against Fury the second time, it didn't work. But Usyk's got something that many guys don't have, which is boxing IQ level 100. Like, this is a triple A threat. Usyk is a menace, man. Dubois did some good work in there. Like, he was getting some shots in. He was landing some power shots. I dare say Daniel was probably feeling good rounds 2, 3, 4. I had him nicking round 1. I had Usyk nicking round 2. But they could have flipped those rounds. I put on my notes, edge, as in they edged it. I had them 2-2 after 4 rounds. Most people had Usyk 3-1, but I had them 2-2. I thought he ate quite a lot of shots off Daniel. And I definitely saw Daniel eat a lot of short inside right hooks and some straight lefts, but a lot of hooks on the inside coming in. I think Usyk decided, 1, he was going to come in heavier. 2, he was on a destruction, mission, demolition job. 3, he wasn't going to fight at range and do his in and out and tap, 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 boom. He wasn't going to do none of that. And he wasn't going to fight at the dangerous mid-range where Daniel can get his power shots off. He was going to stay so close to the bigger man so Daniel couldn't get off good work without smothering his work. Now, albeit Daniel did land on Usyk when he would come in, but Usyk's the shorter, smaller guy. So he has to come in. Literally has to get close to Daniel, the bigger man. But it seemed like Usyk was happy, willing to be in at close range. In the kitchen, in the pocket. Almost swimming without getting wet, but not quite. Because those heavyweights make big splashes. So Daniel was landing. Usyk came to fight, man. He came to fight. He lured Daniel in. Instead of the normal thing where he kind of tries to pull you and mesmerize you like a snake charmer, he said, come on, Daniel. Come on, Daniel. Come on. Yeah, bang, bang. You got me, Daniel. Okay, yeah, you hurt me, Daniel. All right, 1, 2. You give me 2. I give you 2. Usyk lured him in to a fight. And there was only ever going to be one winner for mental warfare up here. But Usyk proved that he's a champion here. We already knew he's a champion here. But Usyk proved that he's a champion here. Again, by the way. Against a big puncher. Remember, Daniel Dubois knocked out AJ on the back foot, retreating while AJ was attacking. Another big puncher coming towards him. Amazing 5th round stoppage. I don't really want to kick Daniel while he's down at this moment. He got put down with a heavy shot by Usyk standards for the first knockdown. It wasn't long after that it was stopped. A lot of people kind of suggesting that Daniel doesn't like it when it gets tough. Daniel doesn't have the mental toughness to ride through when the moments get tough. It's hard to say, man. It's hard to say. He's lost to Usyk twice. Once with more controversy with the whole low blow situation in the first fight. This fight, there wasn't any controversy. It was a 5-round shootout. It was a old school Western shootout. It was rock'em sock'em, and Usyk came to fight. That was it. He knocked out Daniel Dubois in 5. What Usyk's going to do after, we do not know. I haven't got time right now to speculate on all of that. We'll do another breakdown on all the future opponents. He kind of threw the British names out there like confetti, you know, to see who got the oohs and ahs. It was kind of like Britain's Got Talent, who's going to get the most noise. I mean, look, it's free market research. You may as well ask the fans, right? He asked for Fury. He asked for Dubois. He asked for AJ. Ironic. I mean, Fury makes the most money, probably, because he gave him the toughest, more recent fights. AJ is not far behind that. Chisora, it would be romantic, but you don't need to fight Chisora. It'd be better to have a trilogy with one of the main guys than to fight Dubois as like a mate's fucking excuse me. A mate's retirement fight. Yeah, that's Usyk right now. Moving on. Bam Rodriguez in Texas. Bam stopped 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗟𝗪 in round 10. They were saying 𝗙𝗢𝗟 was a puncher. They being the commentators. They were saying that this was a tough test. They were saying all the right things. Bam Rodriguez done what he always does. He broke his man down. He got to him. He punished him. And he stopped him. We've seen this a few times with Bam Rodriguez now. Brutal. No-nonsense guy. A bit of a killer really down there at the lower weights. It was another kind of semi-strange stoppage. Albeit that 𝗙𝗢𝗟 had been in the corner for a lot of rounds, kind of trying to ride the waves of attacks from Bam. Bam had said in the post-fight presser that he felt a few of the shots, and he said that it actually hurt. He said the guy had some pop. I mean, they like to be respectful like that, right? If there's no kind of grudge between them. It was evident that Bam wanted to get to him, but wanted to do it measured. So even though he was right on him, he was trying to be defensively responsible. Even when he was really close, earmuffs were on, and he was ready to like hurt him with ones and twos. There was a lot of bodywork going on, but he was going downstairs, upstairs, and vice versa. But 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗪 was standing in the corner, kind of semi-defensively a lot. He was trying to lure Bam Rodriguez in to, I suppose, counter him or catch him coming in. Bam was superior, technically. Bam was also superior tough-wise. Bam Rodriguez is, he's a handful. He's a handful. And it was a strange one because obviously he had so many big fights going on last night in London, Vegas, and Texas, which was a bit weird. You thought they could have spaced it out a bit more, guys. Like, you know, I know they're different promotion companies, etc., but still. Bam Rodriguez already had a fight penciled in on the Night of Champions card, which is headlined by Benavidez and Anthony Yarde. So, against Martinez. And it's always risque, especially when His Excellency likes to plan. The pipeline mapping doesn't always work in boxing because shit happens on the night. People get knocked out. People get injured. People leave promotional companies. But obviously, if you're locked in with His Excellency, you're locked in. But it must add a bit more pressure. I mean, a bit like Canelo with Skull. You know, it could bring some tentative performances when there's a bit of risk of losing the next bag, you know, the next kind of massive show and payday. Bam Rodriguez didn't have any of that last night. He went about his business. When he hurt 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗪 in the 10th, he caught him with a big hook. And 𝗙𝗢𝗟's legs were gone, instantly gone, like Bambi legs. Like, woo! It was all over the place. The referee momentarily looked like he was going to jump in and stop it. He didn't get a chance. Bam was on the guy. At which point then, in survival mode, all 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗪𝗪 could do would be to kind of bounce off the ropes. He probably would have got a standing count for like getting on the ropes, but then from there he bounced off there and jumped onto Bam and grabbed him around the waist and then down the legs, trying to hold on for dear life. The guy was gone. He was gone. Then they kind of both tussled and tumbled down to the ground. Bam got up. By the time 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗪𝗓 with his pink or red hair had got up in the corner, I could just see from it was a bad angle. It was behind, and you saw the towel waving in front of the camera. So the corner stopped it. I think the referee it looked like he was about to stop it before the wobbling and dancing with Bam. Then once he got back up, it almost looked like the ref was about to give him an 8 count, which to me was ridiculous because the guy was on cloud cuckoo. He was out of there mentally. Like, he'd left the building. So, lights on, no one's in. Yeah, well done for the corner. Good work there. I like to see when the corner saved their fighter to fight another day. There's no point. We saw from Sonny Edwards. Sonny was never the same after that grueling fight with Bam out in Phoenix, Arizona. Sonny was fighting effectively with one eye for most of the fight and decided to go out on his shield, which was commendable, but it was, in the moment, it was very reckless. It was brave, but it was reckless. And, Sonny had one more fight after that and then retired. So I don't think it's advisable to go to war with Bam Rodriguez. Not at this weight anyway. Maybe when he moves up and pushes his limit, it might get a bit techie for him, as they say, as the kids say. It might get a bit technical for him when he moves up. He might push the envelope too much. But that's what makes greatness, right? That was what Lomachenko found when he got to 135. He could outskill everyone, but he couldn't out-dog them and out-hurt them like the bigger 135 guys that have now moved on to 140 and 147, being T.O., Ryan, and Haney, etc. And it shows how great Usyk is, actually. Going back to Usyk, shows how great Alexander is because he left cruiserweight. And he really dominated the cruiserweight division with movement and volume, not power shots. And he'd done the same during most of his reign in the heavyweight. Albeit with the 2 fights with Fury, he started to put some venom into his shots. There started to be a bit more dogged warfare in the ring, albeit still calculated. But he ate that massive uppercut from Fury, got rocked, recomposed himself, reset immediately, and went back to work. With Daniel, it was different last night. It was a bulldozing performance. He came in to run Daniel over, metaphorically. And it happened in front of us. So Usyk, although he's nowhere near as big as these mega heavyweights, these juggernauts, they're like Lennox Lewis, Klitschko body type, he more than makes up for it with the rest of the package. Let's move on from one modern day legend to a past and also living legend, Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao was trying to win yet another welterweight title off of Mario Barrios, the green and gold WBC welterweight title last night in Las Vegas on the PBC card. I spoke about this the other day. It was a fairy tale when he beat 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗪𝗓. He was going for Fairy Tale Chapter 2. Now, I've only been able to watch broken and poor quality highlights because the PBC aren't on the same kind of shiz that Ring Magazine, etc. are, where they fling up the fight ASAP. But I saw some broken highlights and I got the bulk of the fight. From what I could see, Manny started well. Manny had some zip and some pop and some spring still left. The 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao defied Father Time one more time. He came up short in the sense that he didn't get the victory, but it seems like he got a moral victory because Manny Pacquiao got a draw against all odds versus Mario Barrios. A majority draw. 2 114 cards, and then he lost the third card. Generally, what I can see, although I don't like to be fed and influenced, what I can hear, what I can tell, what I can see across the community is that largely a lot of people thought that Manny edged it. I don't think many people are angry at the draw because a draw's always kind of a Vegas way of saying, yeah, we're kind of screwing you, but we're not really. You know, you live to fight another day. And I think at Manny's age, a draw feels like a victory, although he didn't get the belt. Barrios, much bigger than Manny on the night. Sharp, long, sharp, like sniper jab. But Manny, with his angles and being a lefty, he was able to, Manny able to like offset it and do some of those awkward angle punches that he's known for. Manny had a lot of success. He had some success really early on. Barrios was holding his own as well in like early to middle rounds from the limited footage I've seen. Middle of the fight, it seemed like Manny got the lion's share of the exchanges, although I haven't seen the full 3-minute rounds. So excuse me if I'm seeing skewed highlights. But Manny Pacquiao was definitely competitive in there, Mario Barrios, which asks two questions. One, how good is Barrios? And two, how great is Pacquiao? Now, this was never a vintage Pacquiao. This wasn't even a B plus Pacquiao. This was probably a B level Pacquiao. But that's because the A and the A plus Pacquiao was off the chart for anyone, unless your name was Floyd Mayweather. Yeah, Mario Barrios is a good fighter. He's not a great fighter, which is why everyone's been shouting him out from Conor Benn, X, Y, and Z, because they know that that's a calculated, easier night than other people. Like, if you can go versus Barrios as opposed to Boots, you're going for Barrios. All due respect to 𝗙𝗚𝗟𝗓𝗓. But 𝗙𝗚𝗟𝗓𝗓 did what he needed to do, although he was being maybe a bit too respectful. Maybe he was fanboying. It happens, doesn't it, in sport? When you get a legend facing like a contemporary champion or challenger, there's a little bit of awestruck stargazing going on, which is dangerous. It happens in tennis. It happens with young football teams playing big football teams. And it happened with Mario Barrios a bit. There was too much respect. I'm not sure how I felt. And Manny Pacquiao, as you know, is one of my favorite. He's my favorite fighter of my era. But hugging before the 12th round, it's not necessary. I mean, I know Manny's like refound God and he's very spiritual and whatnot, and I respect that. But like just doing the respectful glove touch or just like a little like, like the like judo bow, like before you get back into it, I think that'd be more suited before you're about to go to war, You can always hug and high five and show respect and talk to each other after the fight. After, the blood, sweat and tears have been spent. So Pac-Man in his post-fight presser said that he felt he let the fight get away from him in the last 2 rounds, the championship rounds, 11 and 12. I think he inevitably conceded that he probably didn't have enough legs at his age, but he said he only had a 2-month camp. 4 years out, 2-month camp is nothing. A lot of guys wouldn't even be in the shape to do a 2-month camp. 2-month camp is basically a sharpening up a tactical camp. If you're out of shape, they say you do your fat camp before your real camp. So that's when you start doing 11, 12, 14, 16-week camps if you're tremendously out of shape. That's an oxymoron. But Pac-Man did well. All right, he was naturally going to wane down the stretch because he's 46. In round 10, I saw him piecing up Barrios with like a flurry again, and he was doing the flurries. They weren't the crazy boom, 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 7, 8, 9 flurries, like, what we see Usyk and Bivol do these days, but they were definitely 3s, 4s, and 5s with, say, out of 5 punches thrown, 2 or 3 landing. That's ridiculous. And Manny Pacquiao outlanded Barrios on the power shots by about 7 punches. Barrios outlanded Manny, I think, by about 10 punches, but he threw over 100 more. And Manny outlanded Barrios on the power shots. So on that alone, a lot of people talk about effective punching and measured aggression. A lot of people say that 1 power punch is more valuable than 3 range-finding jab punches. Like those kind of amateur, I touched you, like, like someone like Luke Campbell, when they try to touch you, unless you're doing damage or the other guy's not giving anything back, power punches should always be the number 1 criteria, So they spoke about a rematch I don't think anyone wants to see Manny Pacquiao rematch Mario Barrios. All due respect, a lot of people don't even want Manny Pacquiao to fight again. But a lot of people did say that he looked good for 2 months camp after 4 years out. Inevitably, Floyd Money Mayweather, Floyd's come out of the woodworks. Of course, Floyd is now sniffing a pound note or a dollar, as it were. And I mean, look, if it makes dollars, it makes sense, right? That's what they say stateside. Floyd definitely wants another 50, 100, 150 mil purse. Manny, do what you got to do. You know, I think it would probably be similar to their first fight, albeit Manny wouldn't have a shoulder injury. You'd say, yeah, I mean, they're both exceptional human beings with regards to keeping themselves in shape even after their prime years. So I would expect a similar performance. I would expect a very close fight if Floyd and Manny were to fight. I don't want to see it. There is a queue forming for Manny Pacquiao. The sweepstakes are real. You got Conor Benn, you got Rolly Romero. I'm sure you got Ryan Garcia. You got a whole host of people that want to fight Manny Pacquiao. I'm sure Boots Ennis would want to fight Manny Pacquiao. Everyone and anyone and their dog and cat want to fight Manny Pacquiao. So big up to the Pac-Man. You know, respect to 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗓𝗪. You done your thing. You were a dance partner. You were the champ. You didn't necessarily do enough to convince most people that you were the deserved victor. But that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Sometimes you win a close fight. Sometimes the champ gets the benefit of the doubt. And sometimes when your name's Manny Pacquiao and you don't knock out the opponent, you don't always get a decision. So, yeah, man, what a great night all round of boxing. Big up to Alexander Usyk, probably, definitely top 10 all-time heavyweight now. And probably in that pantheon conversation, if we don't just talk about weight classes, probably one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters, you know, around Sugar Ray Robinson, you know, around Sugar Ray Leonard, around Roberto Duran, around those likes of people, around, you know, Manny Pacquiao, around that kind of collection there. And that's insane. So whatever, Alexander, you decide to do next, we will clap, applaud, and appreciate you because you've done it. You've beaten AJ twice. You've beaten Fury twice. You've beaten Dubois twice. You've beaten Chisora. You've beaten Tony Bellew. You've beaten 5 Brits, 3 of them twice. Derek Delboy said, please stop beating us up. That was hilarious. Bam Rodriguez, you're climbing up the pound-for-pound rankings yourself, my man. Bam Rodriguez going about his business. It will be nice just to see, and I know people are who they are, but it'll be nice to see Bam, you know, just show a little bit more personality, you know, dare I say, light a bit of fire once in a while. Not Balanga style, you know, not Rolly Romero trolling. I'm just saying, it would be nice if someone at Matchroom or DAZN could maybe get inside Bam's lifestyle and just show us another side to Bam, you know? Like, is he into cars? Is he a movie geek? Does he like to sing? Does he watch a lot of boxing? I think he plays another sport, right? I don't know, what is it, basketball? Like, I love what Bam's doing in the ring. Can we find out a little bit more what Bam's about, just to kind of elevate him a bit? Because I think the smaller weight guys, with some exceptions, Tank and Inoue and, you know, Lomachenko before, they get overlooked. And Bam Rodriguez is going through legends and champions like nothing. So, yeah, big up Bam. And Pac-Man, you didn't quite get the fairy tale like you did against Thurman, but you know what? You did yourself proud. You should be proud. The Filipino people should be proud. Boxing, you know, we cherish you. We're lucky to have you fighting at 46. It's not for everyone fighting at 46. It definitely ain't for Andre Ward, as he told us. Alexander Usyk's 38. And yeah, some of these greats are just like fine wines. They just get better and better. Anyway, this was a late night catch up for a mega night, Saturday night of boxing on 2 sides of the Atlantic. Anyway, we'll see you in the week. Boxing highs, ring wraps.